Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I am back with another scrap fabric ideas video. So this is a video where I'm going to show you how you can use small bits of scrap fabric and create your own new fabric. And I've got a particular idea to use the fabrics that I create to create labels to sit on the front of my drawers which store my fabric. So I, in my craft room, have plastic drawers. I won't be able to get the whole plastic drawer on screen, and it has an area at the front which I currently just have a little hand labelled written label on it. But what I'm wanting to do is make much prettier fabric labels, coloured collages to sit on the front that will still allow me to slip in and pull the drawer out, but it will be covering the front of the drawers and taking something that is otherwise plastic and making it look much more artistic. So I'll basically have a collage wall behind me and a collage wall next to me where I have my fabrics. And so you might have seen in previous videos, I like to store my sort of medium-sized fabrics around postcards where I wrap it around and tuck it in. I'll include a link to that video. I'll also link you below in the description to the video where I talked about how I store the next size down scraps. So scraps that are bigger than these, but smaller than my pieces of fabric I store in the drawers. So I'll link to that video also. But I'll be showing you how you can use a very cheap, it's pretty affordable. I think you can get like a whole metre almost for $1 or something. I got this from the quilts shop in Bright in Alpine, Victoria, and I remember I got a whole bunch of it for, yeah, not an expensive price. So it's what they call non-woven fusible interfacing. So it fuses onto a fabric on one side with heat, and then the other side is just it's quite a thin, and so it's super easy to stitch through because I do like to use the steamer seam light, but it is a little bit harder to stitch through and it's more expensive. That does have the adhesion on both sides, and it also has the ability to sort of have stickiness when you're temporarily placing it. So with this I'll be heat adhering it as I go along. So yeah, it's a fusible interfacing, non-woven, and a single-sided fusible. And I just think that's going to make a really lovely label for the front of the drawers. But equally, I think you can make lovely fabric that you can then repurpose and use in another project. Now, if you have a sewing machine, once you've done this fabric, you could then do sewing over it with your sewing machine. But I'm going to be showing you some neurographic stitching, which basically just means mindful meandering stitching. It'll probably be easier if I show you on the back. I've started doing that on this one here, which will probably continue together after I've shown you the collaging technique. And it's just a meandering, going wherever your needle wants to take you. But I guess I'm doing it with a bit of a purpose of of catching the sort of edges of the fabric also, because while they are adhered on to the base piece of interfacing, you'll still see at the corners that they'll still try and sort of, tuck up and things. It won't matter too much on the drawers because they'll be holding pretty secure on the pieces of card. I'll probably end up just doing some stitching to stitch them onto the card, or I could use a double-sided piece of tape. But I think I'll probably, stitch them on, and then I'll stick the card onto the plastic drawers with a strong double-sided tape. But I thought this would also be fabulous to use on a pouch or to cut shapes out of. You've probably seen various projects where I use sort of collaged elements. I'm trying to get I've got a leaf up here that I've done with collaging, but it's sort of wrapped around my light, and probably as I'm swinging my light around, it's interfering with the lighting of this video. So this was one I prepared earlier, as they say in the cooking shows. So what I'll do is prepare one with you, and then we can do some stitching into probably the yellow one, because I probably won't do the whole preparation in this video. So what you need to find with this particular type of fusible interfacing is it has a shiny side and a dull side. You want the shiny side because that's what you want to be, that's going to be the sticky side. So what I've got is a whole pile of blue scraps, which I've cut triangle pieces off the smaller scraps of fabric that I had. all different size triangles. Not all of them are perfect triangles by any means, but it's given me a nice variety of blues because I have quite a few drawers of blue fabric. I actually, interestingly, only have one of yellow and oranges. That's why there's a combined orange and yellow. I don't have that much yellow fabric. I'll have to put that right because my lovely friend Sally from Dotty B here on YouTube, she loves yellow, so I'll have to collect up some more so I can share them with her. I was just having a lovely chat before I went for dinner tonight with my lovely friends Sally and Kristy from So Bits Kristy. It's always a joy when we can have a little chat on the weekend. And the other thing I'm going to be using, which you might not have, and don't worry if you don't, is this little iron wand. I'm just checking it is hot, and I was very careful in just giving it the lightest of taps. And so this is like a miniature iron. I saw Collage Quilter Emily from there using one of these. The ones I'd seen online were clover, but I think you have to get an adapter to use them in Australia. I just found this one on eBay or Amazon, I think, and I think it was, yeah, Taiwan made, so it got sent to Australia. So what I'm going to do is just start in one corner. I'll just overlap my fabric slightly over the edge, and then I'm just going to use my iron and just press them down. I won't go too near the edge because I don't want my iron to catch on the actual adhesive. And I'll just make sure it's sort of adhering down. You might want to use an ironing board. I'm happy this gives enough sort of, and the table underneath, it's an old table, so it's not a problem. And I'm not going to worry too much when I'm sort of arranging these. I'm not going to get too fussy about, what I'll do is just overlap them the slightest little bit when I am arranging them, but I'm not going to worry what colours are sort of going next to which colours. And so the little iron I've got comes with a little wooden stand, so that's what I sit it on while I'm getting the pieces. So again, I'm just sort of randomly picking the pieces off and randomly placing them on, but trying to kind of, create an overlapping. The reason I like the triangles is that it's sort of, and I'm just going to tap and make sure we're in focus. It feels like it makes them easier to sort of slot together. And don't worry if you go over the edges, because you'll end up trimming it if you're using it for like the label on your fabric boxes or containers, or if you're using it for another purpose like making a pouch or something like that. If you were making it on a pouch or something that's going to have some wear, I think the additional stitching you put on it will be quite important, and I think that's where a sewing machine could be great, because you can put some quite thick stitching over. For those that have been watching for a while, I don't have a sewing machine. All my sewing is done by hand, so I tend to just work out how I can achieve what I want. But when we come to do the stitching, I'll talk about some different stitching besides just the neurographic sort of running stitching, like how you can use some little crosses and things to hold corners in place. Just checking that was a single piece. Put that one, where will I put that one? Like that maybe. So again, just making sure you're putting a little bit of overlapping on. And you can see I've got, because some of my fabrics were from original little fabric samples that I got from the reverse art truck, so where it had some of the pinking sheared edges, I've just left those on because I think it all just adds to the effect really. Bring in, I have quite a lot of striped fabrics again from reverse art truck samples, lots of lovely Italian sort of linen and cotton samples I've got from there. Because this one's a bit thicker, I just need to sort of apply a bit more heat to get it to adhere down. Wondering how this one I've got, it's a crinkly sort of one. Not sure how it will work, but we'll give it a go. So far the little iron seems to have been okay with sort of acrylic-y fabrics, so we shall see. Sounds like Alex and Travis might be going out for an evening walk. Had some lovely calamari and Vietnamese for dinner. I was actually really happy. There's an app, I don't know if you have it in where you're from, but it's called Too Good To Go, and it's all about trying to reduce food waste. And so my favourite Vietnamese, or one of my favourite Vietnamese places near here was on the app, and they were having, essentially a whole bunch of food for not an expensive price, which was just, what they had left at the sort of end of the day, but all like out of their refrigerated cabinets. So it would have been what they were just selling up until a few minutes before they were handing out their bags. And so, yeah, you just sort of book a bag on the app, usually the night before, and then you pick it up the next day. But yeah, it was my first time having the Vietnamese, and I got 6 huge Vietnamese rice paper rolls with all different fillings, beautiful duck and chicken, tofu, all the flavours. I think one of them was even soft shell crab. So yeah, we had that, and I particularly like the Vietnamese flavours, so Alex then had some calamari from our favourite fish shop, and it just made a very easy dinner for Sunday night, which we like. Well, I like it anyway. Now that one wasn't adhering. Let's just, again, it's quite a thick fabric, so I'm probably just going to have to just try a bit harder to get it to get the heat through. I think it's going okay now. Let's just have a look. Yep, I think it's mostly adhered. I'll just give it an extra. And what I do at the end, once I've sort of got everything laid out, is I then give it an iron with my big iron, both on the front and the back, which I think just helps to set it as well. But yeah, definitely the thinner fabrics tend to set a little bit, or sort of iron on a little bit easier, because the heat can obviously get through them a bit more readily. So I'll probably do this video in 2 parts. See how I go. It'll probably be 1 part for you, but I'll probably film it in 2 parts, because there's a particular item I've been watching on one of the Facebook groups that does some sort of periodic sales of vintage goodies, and there's something that I want to, and they're having one of their little sales tonight, so I want to jump on there at 8 o'clock and see if I can get a beautiful little bird doily, like a little crochet bird doily. Looks very cute. It's a group called Vintage Inspired People. And you're probably thinking, no, Christine, you don't need any more doilies, but I now just tend to buy the ones when I see something that's, a bit unique for me, or something that I really want to add into my collection. So again, sometimes you'll get slight sort of like I've got a bit of an overlap at the sort of end there, but that doesn't worry me. It doesn't worry me if these have gone slightly sort of, crooked in the process of ironing them down. It's not going to bother me 1 iota. It's another thicker fabric, so I'll need to give it a good press down. do have a little fold-up ironing board I could be using, but as I say, this table's fine, and it's got this this quilt on it as well, which gives some good insulation. Oops, I think I just caught my end of my little implement. I'm just going to rub it off actually on the quilt, because I think I caught some of my white, some of my interfacing with it. And so if you didn't have the interfacing, again, I think you could do a similar technique, and I think I've shown this in some other videos, using Yoo-hoo glue to adhere to a base piece of fabric. That's another option. But I just thought, seeing I had a whole lot of this interfacing that I haven't really used in that many projects, and I wanted to do something that's a bit prettier for the drawers, a bit more artistic, given they are the thing that's on show behind me and around me. Yeah, I thought it was the perfect chance to try this idea out. And I just think there's so many applications for this sort of paper that you create, or not paper, fabric. I even took a photo of that other yellow one before I sort of cut it into the two parts to make the label for the drawers. And I figure I can print my picture of my fabric collage and put it on a piece of fabric, print it onto fabric, and then I've got my own almost like a patchwork style fabric printed. And in fact, I can do that even once it's got the stitching in it as well. So I'm just going to look through my pile and grab something interesting to put down here. You can always trim your pieces if you sort of need to as you go along. Try a different piece. What else have I got? Again, that's overlapping a little bit, but it won't be the end of the world. And you can always, if you've got like a little overlapping edge like this and you don't want the edge, you can just trim it off as you go. Again, just use leave a little bit of overlap, because that will be helpful. That will be helpful to you. I do enjoy doing this sort of, it's just again very relaxing, like the sort of the neurographic stitching. It's a very relaxing way to create. And I don't think you even have to just stick to the front or the backs of fabrics as well. If you've got a back of a fabric that you prefer the back, use the back. And don't worry if there's some tiny little holes where you might have like just a little area where you haven't quite overlapped your fabrics. It's not going to matter, particularly for this application. And because you do have this lightweight interfacing behind it, it does actually hold together quite well. But I just love how easy it is to stitch through compared with, for example, the steamer seam light, which still does have its very good applications. It can be a bit hard on the hands. So all sorts of things. I've got this meshy sort of fabric, which I may as well give a go. Again, I don't know how well the iron will go through it, but we'll see. It's adhering. I might Oh, I think that'll be okay there. And then I'll lay another one over the top. Because it's that sort of process as well that helps, because then if you adhere that one down, it kind of protects the edges of the other one too. But I like how this iron has that little sort of angled end. It does help when you're wanting to sort of get through. But yeah, if not, you could have your regular iron and just be very carefully sort of doing it, or you could use the Yoo-hoo glue even as a bit of a temporary, just put a dot on to hold them in place until you can do the big iron at the end. So a few different ideas. And don't worry if you repeat a couple of the fabrics I took 2 bits of. I'm not too worried if they kind of repeat across the piece. But I do have plenty of blue, so I actually probably don't need to be repeating. Got a nice thinnish piece for the edge. Again, it can go a bit further over the edge, and then I can trim it when I'm trimming down the fabric for whatever I'm going to use it for. This is a thicker piece of fabric, so again I will need to apply a bit more heat. And we might put a nice checky piece here. There's really no right or wrong way to kind of be laying things down. I just try not to create any sort of odd shaped areas. Checking you could still see what I'm doing, but you can. I'll just give it a little taparoo as well. Had beautiful sun streaming on the desk this afternoon. I was almost going to do the video, but then Travis was keen to go for a walk, so I thought, no, I'll do it this evening. No hurry anyway. I won't be putting this up tonight or anything. I've got my coral reef piece up at the moment, which I'm just so thrilled with it, and I'm just so happy to be sharing it with you as well. And hopefully I've just had lovely response from folks, so thank you so much. It's so encouraging when others feel as excited about something as I feel about it. I'll include a link to that video as well below this in case you haven't seen it. It's very different to this. It's a very dimensional piece, but very colourful. And that's going into the Beatlemania exhibition that's coming up in June. Can you believe it is almost June? That is a whole lot of nutty. I still remember when Alex and I were just saying, oh, it's the start of the year. Before we know it, it will be Easter, and then there was Easter. Bailey came over for a visit, which was lovely. Fabric as well, some sort of silky satin sort of one. So it's nice to mix up the plains and the more sort of patterned ones, I think. This is synthetic as well, but that's what I love about a project like this. They don't have to be the one type of fabric. It doesn't even matter if some are higher or lower. It's all just the visual interest that you create. And it's a lovely record, I think, as well, of your fabrics and your projects. And I think going forward, I'll probably try and sort, when I've done a project on my desk, I'll try and sort things a bit more so that I can more readily have my fabrics ready to go for these sorts of things, because I'll have a lot of drawer labels to do. I have a lot of drawers of fabric. So if I collect up things as I do a sort of a colour story of something. Just put that on there. How are we going for time? Yeah, I won't make you watch the collaging for too long. Might just do another minute or so. And then in the second part of this video, which will all be one video for you, I'll be showing you how you can stitch into the piece with different decorative sort of mark making stitches, including neurographic stitching, but also sort of like little cross stitching and other lovely makey stitches. Have I used this one already? No, I was looking at that one before, wasn't I? But I didn't end up using it. Okay, so I am back and I have finished collaging my blue fabric scraps down on this piece. Let me move it up and down so you can get a full look. So this one is all done, and we will do some stitching into this one now, but I first want to show you something else that came to my mind while I was working on this, because one of the things I was pondering was that at the corners, or where you have the overlaps of the edges, it will lift up a bit even though it's adhered to the backing elsewhere. And I remembered that I had recently been watching a video by my lovely friend Annie from Arty Farty Annie. I will link to her and the video that I'm going to mention in the description below this video, so make sure you check her out. I link to her in all my videos. I have a list of folks that you can look up that do slow stitching and textile arts that you might not have come across that you might want to check out. And she was doing a technique where she was adhering beautiful serviettes to fabric using cling film, or what we call in Australia glad wrap, which I think is probably the commercial name of one of the brands. But basically the plastic that you might wrap your lunch in, it is single use, so it's not the most awesome thing for the environment. But if you're like me, you probably have a large roll of it sitting in your kitchen drawer. And she was using that to basically put serviettes or napkins, paper napkins, onto fabric, and it gave me the idea that I could do something similar so that I wouldn't have to worry about the edges, and that's what I've done on this piece here. So I'm not sure how well you can see. It gives it a slight sort of sheen, almost like it's one of those fabrics that they use on sort of furnishing or outer fabrics, like on a little toiletries bag or something. So it sort of gives it that vibe. I've left the edges on so you can see how it sort of ends up at the edges. You'll obviously trim it off, and in the process of ironing it, I think it makes it curl a little bit, but I'm sure that will be fine. We'll also have a go at stitching into this and just see how that goes, but be sure to check out Annie's video, because she also shared another technique using glue as well. But yeah, I was really interested to give this technique a go. I had seen someone doing it ages ago but had never tried it, but when I see Annie do something, it always gets me a bit inspired. So I thought on our blue sheet I could show you how that glad wrap method works. What I will do is I'll cut a piece that's going to be the right size to use for one of my drawer labels. Do a piece like that, or a piece down here. Maybe I'll just do this piece down here, make sure I'm up to the edge. Yep. So I might draw on the back with my friction marker, might be the easiest way. So I'll leave a little bit of a margin around it, because sometimes when you stitch you might lose a bit of size. And I'll take it a bit further over this way as well. Oops. Just looking, where are my good scissors hiding out? I don't know. Don't know where my good scissors have gone. Oh no, they're my pinking shears. They will not be particularly helpful for the task. That's another pair of pinking shears. I must have had my good scissors somewhere behind me, but I'll just have to use my little scissors instead, I think, because oh no, there they are. They fell down. That's what happened to them. They fell down. So just cut along the line. And I'll obviously be trimming it down when I put it on my little drawer label. So this is just to get the piece ready. And then I'm going to take a piece of baking paper, essentially the one that's the more non-stick sort of paper, so not freezer paper that I think you have in the US, which does adhere to things, but this is baking paper is what we call it in Australia, or I think you might call it parchment paper in other parts. Then I'm going to take my bit of Glad wrap, which always wants to, or cling film, which wants to stick to itself. And I'm going to try and stretch that out as best as I can. And again, this isn't compulsory if you're worried about any, I don't know about the fumes from it. I didn't really get many fumes when I did the first one, but obviously only do what you're comfortable doing. I just like to show you different experiments you can try, and when I've seen friends do things, it's so lovely to build on that. I know Annie had seen some other people doing it. I can't quite remember who it was, but she references them in her video, so thank you to whoever shared the idea. And it's so exciting that we can all share in ideas and build on them and use them in different ways. So what I'm now doing is using my iron, and I was using it on its hottest setting. I didn't actually pay attention to exactly what Annie said about iron setting to use, but it seemed to work on the first one on the hottest setting, so I figure that's okay. Because I think the main thing is you're kind of melting the Glad wrap and adhering the Glad wrap onto the fabric, I think is the objective of the exercise. So I hope you're having a beautiful day. It is now Monday evening here. I didn't end up getting back to this video last night. I was doing a few other bits and pieces, still putting some final touches on my octopus garden, which I am so excited about, and it's been just so lovely to have comments from folks on here, but also on Instagram as well. Now, so what I do at this point is I make sure, rather than peeling the fabric off, because sometimes that will sort of separate it from the plastic, I peel the plastic off. I don't know if it's better to let it kind of set in situ or not. But that is how it's looking. If you think anywhere looks still maybe where it hasn't fully sealed on, you can always give it another go. I might give this just another little spin. Take it for another spin with the iron. And I might even just do, I don't know if the steaming does anything. Helps the iron to get nice and hot, so maybe it does help. Just want to see if I can get that little area that was over here to sort of adhere really well. And maybe different fabrics will or won't adhere well as well. That's probably an interesting thing to see. Yeah, this fabric still seems to have a sort of a film on it, so maybe it's got something that sort of repels the adhesive action of the plastic, possibly. Whereas the rest of it seems to be quite adhered on, but it's just these darker ones. You can see a little bit of a sort of a cast over the surface, so that's something else to consider. The other thing I was going to say as an option besides using the Glad wrap is you can also use tulle, and I have used that in past projects, so you can get quite nice fine like bridal style tulles, not the ballerina tulles which tend to be a bit coarser, and you can layer that over and then do some stitching over the top of that, similar to what we'll just be doing on the fabric itself, and that will hold your tulle down and it will then protect the corners and they won't be able to be scuffed up. That would be great if you're wanting to use this, for example, on a pouch. It will just protect the fabrics underneath, and then it will just add some more interesting layering. As you can see, when you just look down at it, you wouldn't immediately see the tulle, you just tend to see the colours that are underneath. So that's just another another possibility for you. So yeah, I think it has, I think it's adhered. It's just that possibly the fabric isn't allowing it to go on as much, or maybe because it's a darker fabric we're seeing a bit of the plastic colours, although it doesn't seem to have quite adhered at the sides. So maybe I do just I'll give it one more press and we shall see. But yeah, do watch Annie's video. Maybe I just need to leave it sort of sitting a bit longer on the pieces, just to give it the full chance to adhere. So I don't think it really sort of soaks into the fabric. I think it just, yeah, adheres. I don't know if it's a difference if you let it cool down while it's still in the baking paper as well. Maybe we'll do that and just see what it looks like. I feel like that should have done a pretty good job. I'm just going to have a little peek. See, that's all definitely adhered on. Yeah, I couldn't wait. I couldn't have deferred action. So yeah, I think it is actually just the process of continuing to do it until it sort of looks like it's more, because that's now actually sitting into the grain of the fabric. So I think this could even have a bit more done on it possibly. So it's probably worth sort of, yeah, checking as you go. And even at this side now, it seems to be much better adhered on. So what we can then do is just trim around and take the plastic extra bits at the edge off. Get those out of the way because I don't want to accidentally melt them onto my surface. I suppose I don't need to make you watch me trimming this down because we'll be stitching actually the yellow piece which we haven't put the plastic on. So I will move this out of the way and we will grab our, well, I'll show you first of all actually on this one because we wanted to see how well it actually stitches. Again, it's sort of, yeah, rolling up a little bit at the edges. I imagine we can kind of get it to reverse roll by just rolling it in the other direction. As you can see, it makes it, it's still very malleable even with the plastic on it. I don't know how it would go if you sort of, yeah, scrunched it up like fabric, like you might with fabric. I won't do that because I don't want to kind of ruin it. And this will be, yeah, sitting on the front of a drawer or a label or something. But I do think this could, yeah, could definitely work well on a pouch as well as the tulle option. So I've got some yellow thread. I did have a needle. Not sure what has happened to my needle. I thought I had it out on the surface, but as tends to happen, I tend to misplace my needles. That's okay. I'll just grab, I've got 2 needle cushions on the go. Might just grab a nice fine needle. That's a slightly bent needle, but should be okay. And we will give this a go, stitching. Something weird seems to have happened with the eye on that needle, so I'm just going to swap over. Unless these are those self-threading needles. That looks very strange too. Okay, let's just go to a more normal, although that's quite big. Do we have a thinner? Nope, that's a very big one. What else have we got in the way of fine That's a very small little in-betweener needle. Give that one a go. I wasn't sure if the plastic would kind of hold, like the hole would be more visible on it when you stitch into it, so that's why I was wondering if a thinner needle would be the go. Now I'll just bring you down a little bit for the stitching part of this program. Where will we start? Let's just start at a corner. And so in neurographic stitching, you're just going to sort of follow where your needle wants to go. So you're just going to make patterns. It's quite nice to make swirls, but you can really do whatever you want to do pretty much. And you can do running stitch, or you could do crosses, you can do a variety of stitches, you can do back stitch, whatever you like. But a running stitch is just a very relaxing stitch. And the nice thing about this, you're not trying to keep a straight line or anything, you're really just saying, where does my needle want to go next? And you can sort of do a number of stitches at the one time. Doesn't matter if some are bigger or smaller than others, it's really just going to be the patterns that you build up with your stitches. So far this is absolutely fine to stitch through. I wonder how long wearing it will be, so I'll probably give this a bit of a, I might even make this into like a little, this one that I put the plastic on, into a little pouch and just start using it and seeing how it goes. So I might even do that in another video. Maybe put some of the blue fabric on the inside. Although I do have quite a few blue drawers I need, so we shall see. As I go, I'm just sort of moving my fabric around to make it easier to stitch. But yeah, this is definitely easier than the one where all the fabrics are loose at the edges, because with that I have to be a bit more careful at the edges to kind of do a stitch over them to hold them down. I'll just go down to the bottom like this, and then I'll show you on the other one a similar approach, but we might start on the other one doing some crosses to hold some corners in place. Just mixing up our mark making stitches. And you could obviously use a contrasting thread. I just thought, because this is for the purpose, well, at least some of it's for the purpose of labels on my drawers with the colours of the fabrics. That's why I thought I'd stick with the yellow thread, yellow and orange, if I want to add in another mix of colour. So yeah, running stitch or cantha stitching is often what it's called when it's in lines, or cantha, because the cantha actually means stitch in it, so otherwise it'd be stitching. Yeah, all different names. Or mark making, or whatever. But yeah, running stitch is just such a simple but such a versatile stitch. If you have running stitch, you can do a lot of things with hand sewing. But there's something nice about not having to keep a straight line or follow a particular pattern. It's just, this would be a great little project if you're travelling on public transport, or waiting in the doctor's or dentist's surgery, or just taking it out on a day with you. And by the end of the day, I'm sure you would have got some little snippets of time to put some little little stitches in. So yeah, I think that could make a really cute little purse that would allow me to trial how hard wearing this fabric is with the plastic on it. So yeah, we'll come back and do that, I reckon, in another video. So for now, let's do some little cross mark making. So what you can see here is that the corners are tending to sort of want to turn up, which wouldn't be a problem if it was on the drawers. If I was using it on a pouch, I don't think it would wear that well. I'm actually thinking probably Yoo-hoo glue to stick them down would have adhered them even better, because it would have gone right up to the edges. So that is another possibility that you can use rather than using the fusible interfacing, because you can put the Yoo-hoo glue on the pieces themselves and then stick them down that way and then put some stitches in. Or apply, if you don't want to do sewing into it, you could just apply the cling wrap and call that a day. So what I might do is do some jumping around and do some little, I was thinking some little crosses. So particularly where the joins are, as a complement to some of the running stitching that I've already done into the piece. So there's a little cross there, and then I might jump over here and do some little crosses coming down this edge. And they're not that little, are they? They're decent sized crosses, but the main thing is just to be helping to hold the bits of fabric in place. You can also do French knots, so we might do some French knots once we've done a bit more of the crosses, which won't be so good for the edges because they won't sit across the edge like the cross is, but just another decorative idea to do. And yeah, you can obviously do lines as well. You can do stitches around your shapes. So we'll do a few different things. I think would be fun in the rest of our time. I've probably got another 10 minutes. I can't remember exactly how long I was on yesterday doing the collaging and talking through the concept. But hopefully this has given you some ideas, and do head over and check out Annie. Also, check out my lovely friends Sally from Dotty B and Kristy from Sew Bits Kristy, and all of the lovely folks that I share in the list below my video. Put a little one down, just pointing down here. And then let's jump over here, and we might just do a running, or maybe we'll actually just do some little straight across, so run like a running stitch, but going stitches next to each other. I know Sally did this in her What is Slow Stitch, her fabulous project earlier this year. I can't remember what she called these ones, but go and check that out. What is Slow Stitch? It's a really great project if you're starting out, or also if you've been stitching for a while. Many of us enjoyed that. I didn't get to do all the episodes, but I watched them all and enjoyed just seeing Sally's really creative ideas. Just people sharing different takes on things. And what I love about my stitchy friends is they are so open in sharing, and so encouraging. So grateful for folks like that. They're my kind of people. So lovely, my fabulous, the fabulous Fleur Woods. I call her my muse for my texture and sort of nature's textures pieces, like the Octopus Garden. I'd posted a photo on Instagram, and she saw it, and put a lovely comment, and just so lovely to have that encouragement too from someone whose work I just so admire. It's just so lovely. You know, that people like Fleur are so busy teaching classes and being an artist and running their businesses. So it's just so nice when they provide encouragement as well. And again, to all of you who are constantly encouraging me in my creative endeavours, I'm really appreciative that I get to share this with you. It's so much more fun. Obviously, it would still be fun sitting in a craft room, but it's all the more fun because we get to interact through comments, and those of you that are in the Slow Stitching Friends Facebook group, but I know not everyone does Facebook. I'm not on Facebook that much, really. But I do love to see when people post something that they have done. So there's those stitches, and then we could come up here and put some little French knots in maybe. So let me make sure the end's not going to get stuck. So I might do some double French knots. So wrapping it twice around, holding the end as I pull it through, and just putting our little French knots in. So it almost starts to make this look like a sort of a crazy quilt kind of feel, doesn't it? With these different stitches. Well, I think I did 3 loops there, 1, 2 instead. I just find it's good to have a surface underneath that you can sort of stick your, oops, and we've got a notch. That won't bode well for us, will it? Let's see if we can still get it to go down and not be too loopy. It's a little bit loopy, so I'll just pop up. What you do if you get a particularly loopy French knot like that, a bodgy French knot, is you can pop up and then you can catch your little sort of loosey-goosey end and just try and sort of pull it down to make it sit a bit better. You can always come up a second time if you think it needs it, which I might do here because it is still just a little on the loopy side. There. And then the next one. Oops, I only did a single wrap, didn't I? That's what happens when I'm just dreaming away. I think I was thinking about something actually at work, so you lost me for a moment there in the mind. I was stitching with the hands, but the mind had gone elsewhere. Come back, work can wait for tomorrow. Now is stitching time. It's very windy outside actually. Poor Mildura in that region, which has had quite bad sort of drought type conditions. They've had winds whip through and sort of dust and sandstorms this afternoon, and I think we're getting the winds now. I've actually got to remember to pack my umbrella because I'm heading into the city tomorrow for a workshop in the morning and then facilitating a workshop in the afternoon. So it'll be a busy day. So I thought I'd get this video done now and upload it, and then I'll probably post it tomorrow night. So probably by the time you're watching it, I will have already been into work. As you know, I don't try and sort of inundate you with too many videos. I spread them out by a few days, because I know there's lots of great things to watch out there, so give you space. Share the love. I'll just get up to the top with these French knots. I like that they almost look like little nails or little screws in the piece. Little rivets, maybe. You can tell I don't really follow a straight line, but I embrace the wonkiness. You will find when you do French knots, your thread will start to sort of twist a little bit around. So I'll just let it untwist for a moment. Okay, almost there. top I think I'll do a cross of some sort, or maybe what will I do? Yeah, maybe I'll do an asterisk-y thing here, because there's a few different pieces. Oh, maybe a cross will still work. I'm not quite sure when I'm doing a cross whether I'll get it that even. Yeah, let's do an asterisk for something different. So yeah, just play around, and I'll show you one more technique where we sort of follow what's in the design of a piece. So let's just tie that one off there, and then I might get a new piece of thread. So on the back I'm just going to put a little stitch through. Might be vaguely visible on the front, but won't be a problem. And then I'm just going to tie it off. And then I thought maybe on this little butterfly wing piece we might just follow some of the stitching just with a running stitch, I think. Just see how that looks. Just to give you different ideas of how you can embellish your little scrap pieces. Or maybe I should do it up on the ice cream piece up here. Maybe that'll be a bit quicker, so let's do that. Or I could have done it on the banana piece. I actually love that this banana piece is joined with this one here, and it almost looks like a chicken. Maybe I'll do it on that one actually. There you go. I've just changed my mind about 10 times. I'm just going to follow the outline around it, if my end will stay on this bit of the fabric. And again, I'll just use a running stitch, I think. And I can sort of load a few pieces onto my needle at a time. I'll just have to be careful where I've got the raw edge here. Just be a bit more gentle with it. But yeah, that wasn't intentional to make it look like a chicken, but I think it almost looks like a chicken. A funny sort of chicken, but a chicken all the same. Go down here. So yeah, let me know if you'll be taking this idea and adapting it for your own purposes, or any part of the various ideas I've shared. Maybe some labels for if you've got tubs or plastic drawers like this, you might want to use some of your scraps for labels for the front. Because I'm such a visual person that I think I'll really enjoy the fact I can just look over and go, up, yellow, orange in that drawer. I'm not looking for a label that says yellow, orange. Although because I'm a visual person, I tend to remember which bit of the room they're in. But there are times I go hunting for a particular colour of fabric. So I'll just finish coming down this side of the banana or chicken, depending on which you want to think it is. Maybe it's a new breed of chicken, a banana chicken. So there you go, that's just another option. So we've done crosses, we've done French knots, we've done little straight ones. I'd previously done some of the neurographic stitching on the other one. We've done an asterisk, we've done a following around a shape. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, the different options and ideas. So definitely, yeah, on the darker fabrics you can see the plastic layer. I'm going to give it another iron after this video finishes. So I think I do still prefer this, but I think, yeah, I'll look out some of my tulle as well, and have a go at doing it using the tulle also as a layer. But I will keep experimenting, and yeah, see how I like the different experiments. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye everyone.